Hello and good day to all of you. Going to give it a few seconds here, and while I'm giving it a few seconds, in a few moments, I will be sharing it. So if you're joining in, say hello, and we'll start jamming in just a little bit. So yeah. All right. All right, so yes, people are starting to join. And say hello when you're joining in. I'm just going to give it a few moments here, and while I'm doing that, I'm doing some of the technology stuff and sharing it to a few places. Okay. So hello, thank you for joining. If you are new to me, if you're just finding me for the first time, my name is Noa Lakshmi. And today we're going to talk about what you see in the title, Love is the Doorway to Living the Life that you were born to live, which is a life of prosperity. So we'll talk about what is life of prosperity, what do I mean by love, and what do I mean by you limiting the natural flow of it. So hi, Cara from Ireland. Thank you for joining. That's awesome. So if you're joining in, just say hello, say where you're from. This is something I love so much, is to actually see people from all over the world. Ireland and then Australia and China and Poland and just different places around the world. So that's really awesome. Let's just say hello. Again, I'm going to give it a few more seconds. So thank you for your patience. And we'll start rocking and rolling here in just a little bit. Okay, so after taking care of all the logistics, we are going to go here, and I'm going to look at your comments as well as I'm going. So yeah, please say hello from wherever it is that you're coming from. And if you are new to me and just finding me for the first time, if you're coming here live or if you're joining later, watching the video later, then my name is Noa Lakshmi, and today I am going to talk about the number one topic number one for me, which is love, and then more specifically is the love that you have for yourself, that you give yourself, the kind of love that has the ability to truly transform your life and every aspect of your life. So we'll focus today on the topic of prosperity, and because that's the second topic that is one of my favorite, is prosperity, and what does it mean to prosper and to live a prosperous life that is motivated and inspired by love, and more than anything else is inspired by self-love, and why it's the doorway, the gateway, the key. It's really everything to create that prosperous life. And what does it mean? And what I want to share here with you today is the topic of, we hear this a lot, but I'm actually less and less using it when I talk to people, when I talk to my clients, the topic or the term self-sabotage. And so I want to go into that and what is it exactly. And instead of the term self-sabotage, I'll be talking about, the ways that you may be limiting the natural flow of either love, prosperity, just the things in life that are truly yours to experience, that is your birthright, that you may be limiting that flow, and you're doing it in ways that are underneath the surface. What I mean by that, these are not necessarily conscious ways. You don't wake up in the morning and you say, well, I am going to stop the flow of prosperity in my life today, or I am going to stop the flow of good feelings today. Those are things that don't necessarily happen consciously. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. And I want to share with you today, I've been reading, I finished it actually a few days ago, and I want to share this with you and inspire you maybe to get this book. So I read this book. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's called The Big Leap. And I'll share the link to this book that you can, The Big Leap. And this is part of what inspired this video today, is reading this book. And so much of what I've gathered from this book that I want to share here with you today, and how this book, with some of the principles in this book, how I weave it into what I teach and what I share with people, which is self-love. So I'll share some, because I have lots of notes here from the book, and I'll share some notes that I've taken as it relates to what I'm sharing with you today. But the book, just in general, it talks about what the author of this book refers to as the upper limit. Okay, and this is what we refer to in the mainstream or in the spiritual circles, what we refer to as self-sabotage, basically, is when we hit what he talks about as the upper limit. That's when we start sabotaging whatever it is that is happening. And that happens in relationships, that happens with money, that happens with your career, your fulfillment, that happens with your health, that happens with the natural, that's why I talk about the natural flow of prosperity in your life. So I'm going to share some of the principles presented in the book, and then some of self-love principles that are absolutely essential in order for you to find those upper limits, actually, to identify and be aware that that's what's happening. And with that self-love and compassion for yourself, you actually start melting away, or dismantling, as I like to say, all those upper limit challenges. Okay, so we'll just go one step at a time. First, I would love to, and if you are here right now, you can write in the comments, what does prosperity mean for you? Okay, because in conversations with people, obviously we all have different perspectives, and the definition that we have to certain words can actually really change our perspective in life. So I would love to hear from you, if you're so inspired to share and to comment. What is prosperity to you? What gets sparked for you in your consciousness and in your body when you actually hear the word prosperity, prosperous life, prosperity, prosperous? What does that mean? Many people associate prosperity with money, and money is part of it. However, and I'll share with you my definition to prosperity and what I mean by born to prosper, which is what I stand for, that I truly believe that every single one of us was born to prosper. That is your divine birthright, to prosper. Now, what do I mean by prosperity? Money? Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the equation as we live here in a physical world. However, prosperity is experiencing the natural flow of life, and the goodness, the greatness that natural flow brings with it. Now, there's definitely an inner state of prosperity and there's an outer state of prosperity. And those are two things that I'd like to also present here today, that there's the inner and the outer, because we do live in a world of, you can say, duality, but there's the inner world that you live in. I have my own inner world, my universe, and you have your own inner world and universe. And we all share the external reality, right? And based on what is actually living inside of you, your inner reality, based on what's happening on the inside, you will experience reality on the outside. Now, for some of you, that might be a new concept, but this is truly, in my own experience too, that's what it means to be a powerful creator in this life. I am, you are a powerful creator. And I want to invite you to actually employ that mantra, that affirmation, that statement into your life. I am a powerful creator, or I am a powerful creatress if you are a woman. And knowing that you definitely have the powers as a human being, as a conscious human being with a brilliant mind, you have the power to create, to shape reality, and specifically your reality. So when it comes to prosperity, there's that inner state of prosperity, which is an inner state of, and this is my definition that I'm offering here, it's an inner state of ease, it's an inner state of peace, it's an inner state of trusting life, which is a big part of ease and flow. Just realized that you might hear me better if I use this. I really hope that actually there was a sound up until now. Can you let me know if you're here live now, if you've actually heard everything that I've been talking about in the last 12 minutes? Because I realized I didn't put these in. So yeah, just let me know, like a bit of a sound check here. Better later than never. Let me know if you can hear me well. So the inner state of prosperity is that inner state of ease, of peace, of trusting life, basically, trusting life. I always like to give the analogy of, you don't go to sleep at night worrying that the sun is not going to rise in the morning, right? Let me know if any of you actually goes to sleep with any doubtful thinking, oh man, I'm not sure if the sun is actually going to rise tomorrow morning. If you do that, please let me know. But I have not yet to meet anyone that has those doubts, right? That's a state of knowing. And I associate that state of knowing to an inner state of prosperity, where there is this innate and unshakable knowing. There's just absolutely no doubt in your mind. And that brings about a sense of ease, right? You go to sleep at ease, knowing the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning. I don't really need to do anything about it. And so that sense of ease, that sense of peace, that sense of abundance from within yourself, there's a sense of gratitude. Gratitude is definitely associated with an inner state of prosperity. When you have the flow in you, internal state of feeling good feelings. And when I say good, I don't mean it in good or bad. It's not about positive or negative. It's a very important distinction. When I say good, I mean feelings that actually feel good in your body. Feelings that feel good to feel. When you feel gratitude, when you feel at ease, when you feel at peace, let me know if those feelings don't actually feel good in your body. What do you feel when you get in touch with that sense of ease, with that sense of peace, with that sense of gratitude, right? Immediately, there's a sense of relaxation within you, within your body. That is an inner state of prosperity, having more of those feelings that feel good. On the flip side of that, and again, no negative or positive, as human beings, we've been gifted at least now in the state of consciousness that we are experiencing as human beings, we've been gifted with the experience of duality. So as a human being, yes, you have those good feelings, which are actually, that's your natural state. That's the truth of who you are. That sense of ease, that sense of peace, that sense of gratitude, that sense of love for yourself and everything else, that is what is called your divine nature. Okay? This is what we call the higher self. When you are able to see and experience life from that higher perspective, aka the higher self, higher perspective of the truth of who you are. Now, on the flip side of that, we look at the feelings that, again, not positive or negative, but the feelings that don't feel so prosperous. Again, talking about the inner state. That's when we get into the feelings of doubt, if it's doubting in yourself or in life in general, right? You go to sleep at night and you are worried that, shit, maybe the sun is not going to rise in the morning. I need to worry about it and think about it and maybe figure out a way to make sure the sun is going to rise in the morning. So the doubtful state, worry, anxiety, stress, which is very much self-induced and is a disease. It's a virus in the system that you're really important to pay attention to. So that's like a whole nother video. But anxiety, stress, worry, doubts, any fear, and fear of the future, any regret of the past, anything that takes you from the present moment of actually experiencing your own innate divinity, okay? So all those states, again, not good or bad, not positive or negative, but let me know if those feelings, if those feelings don't actually induce unpleasant feelings, thoughts, sensations in your body, in your experience. And so going back to the inner state of prosperity, those are all the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts, the sensations that are associated with feeling good, because part of prosperity and the fact that you were born to prosper on the inner plane, you were born to experience, because this is the truth of who you are, you were born to experience those higher states of love, of gratitude, of ease, of peace, of joy, of pleasure, of ecstasy, of happiness. The list goes on and on and on. Hi, Sonia. I'm glad that you're here, love. So those are your natural states. Those are the natural states of prosperity within you on the inner plane. Now, prosperity on the external level. So we look at money. That's a big piece. Not because money is like to put it on the holy grail or anything like that. Money is a tool. And this is especially for all of you very spiritual people. And I know I'm one of them. When it comes to money, money is merely a tool. Money is neutral energy. Okay, it's just like this pen. There's no difference between this pen and this dollar bill. It's play money, but no difference. All right, this pen can be a very useful tool if you want to write a letter to somebody, or you can actually kill somebody with this pen if you get really creative, right? It's the same thing with this, right? And what happens in the collective consciousness is that we carry so many connotations and so many ideas around money, where in reality, money is just neutral energy. And it's a tool to help you experience more of the goodness of life that you were born to experience and to live. So money is a part of prosperity, but also on the external plane, we look at your fulfillment. How much of what you do in life bring you fulfillment? So it's about you can call it your job or your career, or the things that you do in the world that actually feel very fulfilling and very satisfying. It's also your relationships. What is the experience that you have in your relationships? Are your relationships built on respect, on love, on harmony, or your relationships are built on competition or jealousy or possessiveness or old conditionings and agendas? So again, I'm bringing all of that to the table, not to, there's no good, there's no bad, but it's really important to identify all those states and all the options and the possibilities that we actually have here as human beings, the potentials that we have when we live here on Earth, right? We have access to all those potentials and all those possibilities. We can experience wealth, or we can experience poverty. We can experience health, or we can experience dis-ease. We can experience harmonious relationships, or we can experience the turmoil and the roller coaster of relationships. Brooke, hi from Australia. Awesome, love. Good to have you here. So this is just, I'm laying down the foundation, right, of prosperity, because it can be such a loaded topic. As I start presenting it more and more, I realize just people have so many different definitions to what prosperity is. So it's important for me to convey the two planes that we are looking at here, the inner plane and the outer plane, when it comes to prosperity, and for you to identify first on the inner plane, are you experiencing a life of prosperity in the sense of the good feelings, the sensations, the being present, the allowing yourself to really feel the goodness of your body, the goodness of life, having those good feeling thoughts that evoke good feelings in your body and in your emotional body? That's prosperity. Okay, so when it comes to limiting the natural flow of prosperity in your life, that can occur on the inner plane and on the outer plane, and those two are definitely intertwined, right? Because let's face it, when it comes to, let's take money. When it comes to money, when you've got that in your life, when you are not limited by money, when there's a flow, okay, rather it can be rich and super wealthy, or you just have money and you can enjoy life, you're not limited by that. What does that evoke internally, right? There's a sense of more ease, because lack of money, what be perceived as lack of money, is also, there's less ease in your life, there's more stress, right? There's less peace. And of course, when it comes to our spiritual gifts, we can attain a state of ease, a state of peace, a state of gratitude, no matter what is going on outside of ourselves. And that's really, I'm going to go back to that, because that's very important when it comes to how is it that you actually create your reality and shape your reality to be one that you actually want to experience. So we must start from the inside, and the feelings and the states that you live in most of the time. And that's where I'm going to share the book again. And if you're just joining now, I'm presenting some principles here from the work that I do around self-love, and also this amazing book that I finished reading is called The Big Leap. I'm going to post that again. And such a brilliant principles around what he calls the upper limit, and how we actually block and stop the flow of goodness in life, as I'm talking here, inner plane and outer plane, because we hit a certain limit. Um, hey, Jack, yay, Jack coming from Canada, awesome. Well, at least we've got Facebook that we can see each other, right? Sending you such a big hug. Awesome. So I'm going to share something from the book. I just want to wrap up the idea of that inner prosperity and the outer prosperity. And going back to the upper limit is, if you are not used to feeling, let's talk about the inner for a moment, okay? If you are not used to feeling those higher states of gratitude, of love, of joy, of ease, of peace, if you are not used to that because you are more used to the other side of that, the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the depression, just not feeling so great mentally, emotionally, physically, more on the heavier, lower side of things, of existence. If you are used to that, then there's an inner upper limit that when you start reaching, or when you start feeling states of gratitude, of bliss, of feeling good in your body, in your mind, and emotionally, there's something gets triggered inside of you, because it's very different, and especially if it's for prolonged periods that you feel that way. When you hit that upper limit inside of you, that's when what we call self-sabotage comes in. Now, the reason I stay away now from the word self-sabotage, I find it to have a bit of a negative connotation. And for many people, and I've observed it in my clients, is that when we use the word self-sabotage, that immediately brings with it an element or a layer of self-judgment. So to eradicate the self-judgment, to eradicate the self-criticisms, which is definitely associated with lower states that are not of prosperity, when you judge yourself or others, when you criticize yourself or others, you are not in a state of prosperity. You blocking the flow of good feelings that life constantly is looking to give you. So when you hit that limit, right, because you are not used to it, you are going to do something. And instead of the self-sabotage term, what I'm offering here is an upper limit challenge. What you're going to start doing is you're going to create something in your life, internally or externally, to stop, pause, or completely take away that flow of a good feeling, whether it be gratitude, love, feeling expansive, whatever it is inside of you that is not used to those upper state, you're going to do something to bring yourself back down. Now, on the external level, if you're not used to having, let's say, a flow of money, you're not used to actually feeling very fulfilled and do the things in life that you are passionate about and enjoy doing, if you're not used to having relationships that are harmonious and loving and communicative and authentic, if that's your starting point, let's just say, because you've been conditioned for many years and you've got used to a certain state or a certain environment or a certain condition, then when the opposite presents itself, again, the upper limit gets triggered and you'll do something to again, not sabotage it, but to stop it. It's very common in relationships. And you can start looking at your life when things are good and loving, and all of a sudden, either you or the other person, something is going to come up. There's an argument, there's a conflict, there's something to bring things back to the normal state, because, hey, we are too happy, too joyful, too loving, too cuddly, too intimate, no, too close, let's stop that. That's in relationships, that's very common. But on a personal level in your life, you can start tracking that pattern as well on the internal plane and external, because those two are connected. Because again, like I started talking about the money flow, that brings about a sense of ease, a sense of peace. When you do have this flow in your relationships, it brings about a sense of harmony within you. It brings about a sense of ease and peace and joy within you. anything on the external that is going really well and is flowing really well will bring about good feelings inside of you. So again, if you are not used to feeling, you're not used to being in those higher states, then you are going to do something, and it's not a conscious thing, but you're going to do something to stop that flow, that natural flow. So I just want to lay down this foundation and a new belief maybe for you, that you were born to prosper, that life's intent for you, this is your divine blueprint. That's how I like to call it. Your divine blueprint is a blueprint that is rooted in power, in prosperity, and in pleasure. And those are your birthrights. And when you know that, when you are rooted in that, you are that much more equipped and able to rise above the human experience, or it's actually the human condition. Okay? It's the human condition that for us, it's all about mastering that, mastering ourselves, mastering our minds, and rise above all these conditionings and actually live in the knowing of your divine nature. Okay, easier said than done, absolutely. But this is what I'm all about, you know. And I'm recommending the book, The Big Leap, but I wrote my book 2 years ago that was published in August of 2017 that is called Master Your Life with Love. And this is the foundation for everything that I'm sharing here with you today, that really, in order to even recognize those upper limits and not just recognize the next step after the recognition, is to do something about it and commit to increasing that upper limit until there's no limit. Where is that coming from? What is the fuel for eradicating all those limits that you have set for yourself? Anybody knows the answer? Love. That's right. That's the whole thing. It's loving yourself so much that it's the love for yourself that gives you the fuel to eradicate all those limits, because you know who you are, and you know that you were born to prosper internally and externally, and nothing else will suffice. So when you love yourself, when you are rooted in what I call radical self-love, I love the word radical because we need to be radical in these times that we're living. We've been conditioned, my friends, in such radical way to judge ourselves, to criticize ourselves, to not love ourselves, to put ourselves in boxes and in pigeonholes that we call life. And I'm sorry to burst any bubbles, that is not what we were meant to experience in this life. So the love for yourself, when you love yourself in that way, and you know, hey, wait a second, I'm not here to live in a pigeonhole. I'm not here to be limited. I'm not here to feel all these heavy emotions, the anxiety, the stress, feeling all contracted on the inside. And we have this agreement in the collective unconscious. So again, this is the human condition, because we are part, this is a web. Even though you are an individual, I'm an individual, and we are all connected to the collective web, and there's a collective agreement in what is called the human condition regarding certain state experiences and life experience in general. So your self-mastery and your love for yourself is the medicine that not only is going to help you rise above, but is going to help humanity to rise above the BS conditionings that we've been plugged ourselves into. So it's the process, self-mastery, doing it with love is all about unplugging yourself from the BS That's the first step. And that first step is initiated by first, okay, I love myself enough to unplug myself from the freaking BS and get the power back in my hands, literally the power plug in my hands, and I am going to plug it back to the source. What is the source? Right here in your heart. That is the source. That is the source for everything, for experiencing that prosperous life internally and externally. Because when you are fueled, and this is in my book actually, when you are fueled by self-love, then all the choices that you make in life are based on that. So even when you have a crappy thought about yourself, which is going to come up, and this is part of the upper limit, right? When a crappy thought comes up about yourself, let's just start with that, then you can, in that moment, take charge. The power is in your hands, and plug yourself back to something better, which is loving yourself, which is take yourself away from the energy of self-criticism and self-judgment. And there are so many different tools, and obviously this video is not about that, but if you want to actually know more about this and be part of an awesome community where I offer more trainings like this and offer many, many tools, then please go to Born to Prosper Collective. It's a closed group. I'm going to post the link as well. But if you want more of this, then yeah, please head over to that group. So I'm just going to post that link, and you can check it out. So Born to Prosper Collective, if you are watching the video later and you don't feel like going through the comments. Born to Prosper Collective. So Born to Prosper Collective. Awesome. All right. Collective. All right. So moving on, like I said, that love, that's what you plug yourself into, and there are many, many tools to do that. Same thing goes to when you are noticing something in your relationships, or something is going on in your life, it's going on really well, and then there's an inclination, or almost like a drive or an urge to go in the opposite direction. And that can look like shitty thoughts about yourself or about life or about the other person. It can look like actually doing things to stop the flow of good feelings. Is in the moment, how can you shift that? But again, this is what I see time and time again working with clients is, I mean, it's a great place to start this knowing. And it's a great place to start having the awareness that you actually are reaching or hitting an upper limit issue or a challenge. However, if you are not fueled by radical self-love, by loving yourself so much, you're not going to be so motivated to do something about it. Because again, when you are rooted in that radical self-love, you absolutely know you want nothing but the very best for yourself. I like to give the analogy, and that's why I like to work with parents, because when people that have children, they totally understand that, even more so because when you have a child, you know, it's your life. What do you want the best for that being? You would go above and beyond. You would give your own life probably, right? For that being to be nurtured, to be taken care of, to be supported, to be happy. Can you give that love for yourself? Because this is really what the process of self-love and mastering your life to the degree that I'm talking about here, motivated by self-love, you gotta, it's that process of parenting yourself. It's the process of being your own father, being your own mother, and taking care of yourself like a tender child, because you are. And that is the doorway to experiencing that flow of prosperity within you and outside of yourself. So Let me know if you have any questions, because I've been just jamming here for a little while. So let me know if any questions arise. And I want to read a few pieces here from the book. And again, the book that I'm referring to here, if you are just joining now or listening later, this is a book that I've been very inspired by. It's called The Big Leap, and it talks about the upper limit and the ways in which we actually stop the natural flow of the goodness of life that is for us to experience internally and externally, all areas of life, which is what prosperity is when I speak of prosperity. So I want to read this piece, which actually also is related to what I was talking about, the collective agreements that we have and how unconsciously we actually follow these agreements, the human condition. So he says here on page 7, our species in general had grown accustomed to pain and adversity through millennia of struggle. We knew how to feel bad. We had millions of nerve connections devoted to registering pain, and we had a huge expanse of territory in the center of our bodies dedicated to feeling fear. Certainly, we had pleasure points in various places too, but where were the mechanisms for ongoing natural good feeling? I realized that we were only recently evolving the ability to let ourselves feel good and have things go well for any significant period of time. So I want to read this again. I realized that we were only recently evolving the ability to let ourselves feel good and have things go well for any significant period of time. That really, really caught my attention, this piece, because it resonates with me. It feels very true that this is part of the evolution. This is part of what you call the ascension of the human species on the planet, that we are recently evolving the ability to let ourselves feel good because of the deep-rooted, deeply seated conditionings of what he talks about in the first part of this paragraph, dedicated to feeling fear. Literally dedicated for millennia, dedicated to feeling pain, to feeling struggle. When it comes to the lack of any resources in life, that is associated with a feeling of fear, with a feeling of stress, with a feeling of not enough and struggle. And those are all things that are rooted in the collective consciousness and unconscious. So what he presents is a few questions when it comes to the upper limit. How can I extend the periods of contentment in my life? If I can eliminate the behaviors that stop the flow of positive energy, can I learn how to feel great all the time? Can I allow things to go well in my life all the time? In relationships, can I live in harmony and intimacy all the time? Can our species live in expanding waves of peace and prosperity, free from the pattern of messing things up when they are going well? And that's a huge, huge questions that he presents. And basically he talks about that when he had these realizations, he started an experiment with himself, and all those questions actually arose for him. How can I extend the periods of contentment in my life? And all the other questions that I just mentioned here. And I want to say also that, because he asked here, can I learn how to feel great all the time, right? And some people hear that and it's like, well, that's not reality. And, you know, some days we feel up, some days we feel down and all that. So here's what I want to say about that, my friends. And this is something I always remind my clients. It's not about, as a human being, yes, you're going to have days, you're going to have moments where you not feeling maybe as full of gratitude, as full of joy, as full of love, as full of ecstasy. However, though, I do believe that this is our natural state, and this is what is very important for me to convey here. I do believe it's our natural state, and we are evolving. I don't know if it's going to happen in this life for us, but we are evolving from that state of constant duality and separation. Part of the evolution and the ascension is actually come back home to a place of union, a place of unification, which in that state of unification and oneness, I mean, we actually transcend all even these things that I'm talking about, but this our natural state of complete bliss and oneness with all of life. However, in our experience right now, as we know it, in duality, and if you are in a spiritual path, and yes, it's not about feeling great all the time. You're gonna feel the waves of anxiety, of stress, of worrying, of doubt. However, though, and this is the key here, when you feel the waves of all of the above, what do you do? And that's the choice that when motivated by self-love, you actually, instead of spiraling down, you pause and you consciously choose to move in a different direction. Because why? I love myself enough to feel good. And feeling anxious, feeling doubtful, feeling a fear, feeling worried, feeling angry at myself or somebody else, being all judgmental with myself and somebody else, being all criticizing about myself and somebody else, that just doesn't feel good. So you know what? I am going to make the conscious choice to switch to something that feels better. And again, that requires some tools and things that you can actually do to bring yourself into a state that is more of prosperity, that is more of the natural state of who you are. Okay, so again, there's so many different shoots that can go from what I'm presenting here, but what's important for me in this video is really just convey this idea of the upper limit and how important it is to recognize it and to commit yourself, because this is all about how much are you willing to commit yourself to loving yourself and doing the it's a lifelong practice, really, to increasing that love for yourself, to developing a relationship with yourself that is like you are your child, you are your best friend, you are your lover, you are your partner, that you would do anything for, that you would go above and beyond, that all you want is that person, is that being to be utterly happy and joyful and supported and loved. So you're going to make choices that support that. So it's not about, oh, you just need to feel great all the time. But what if you did an experiment with yourself and ask yourself, just how can I extend the periods of contentment in my life? That when you feel really great on the inside and you start noticing that, oh, in the past, you allowed yourself to feel so great for about a week. But now you are going to extend that, and you're going to extend that, and you continue to extend that because you are making the commitment to loving yourself. And part of loving yourself is knowing I was born to prosper inside and out. So when you recognize how you actually stop that flow of prosperity internally and externally, the recognition, the awareness, that's the flashlight that you start seeing what's going on. And then once the awareness is there, the recognition is there, that's where the embodiment piece comes. That's where the practice, like it's day to day, moment to moment practice, choice, every single choice. If it's motivated by self-love, if it's fueled by self-love, it's going to produce, or it's going to manifest things in your life that reflect that love for yourself, that reflect how much you value yourself, that reflect how you treat yourself, and how you view yourself. So on some level, there's no such thing as external reality. Like, of course there is, but where is it all coming from? Where is the source? Okay, so again, the reminder here, plug yourself to the source. That's your heart. That's your love. That's your love. But that love is, first and foremost, is for yourself. So to tackle all those upper limits that I'm talking about, and I highly recommend to read this book that I've posted the link in the comments, The Big Leap. So helpful to start seeing the ways and recognizing the ways in your life that you actually stop the flow, the natural flow of prosperity, and feeling good and feeling expansive and feeling a sense of harmony inside and out. So you are the source for those experiences outside of yourself. And the key is to restructure or create a landscape within yourself that is the kind of landscape that you want to see outside of yourself. So if you want to see prosperity externally, let's start internally with creating a prosperous environment. So you can go back to the beginning of the video if you're just joining now. What is that internal prosperous reality? There's love, there's gratitude, there's ease, there's peace, there's relaxation. There's an unshakable knowing that you are a part of life. And there's this natural flow, and that you are born to prosper, and that you are God manifested in physical form, and that you have the power to create. That's a state of prosperity. You experience that sense of abundance, that sense of ever flowing life force. That's a state of prosperity. And then you experience it on the outside, on the material level, if it's money and other things, and the people that show up in your life, and the relationships that you attract, the connections that you attract, the opportunities that you attract, the level of fulfillment. Because when you love yourself, you're not going to do things that are totally the opposite of what your soul is here to do. F that. No. But that needs, again, the fuel is the love for yourself. All right? And that's how we start tackling all those upper limit challenges that are going to come up. And it's great because you want them to come up so you can see, wow, this is how I'm still limiting the natural flow of the goodness of life that I was born to experience here, internally and externally. Oh, thank you for letting me share here. 222, perfect time. It's 222 here on the West Coast. Say hello if you're just joining. If you've been here the whole time, thanks. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. And write in the comments if any of this is landing for you, and how is it landing for you. Anything that you feel inspired to share. And again, I want to say that if you want more of this content and actually are wanting to commit to not only loving yourself, again, like I said, that's the fuel, that's where we start. But if you are, okay, I'm committing myself, I want to master my life so I can actually create a reality that is so freaking awesome, and that I am fulfilled and I enjoy life and I live in the way that truly ignites my fire. And you want to master yourself in that way, yeah? With the love and that ever-flowing prosperity inside and out. Head over to the Born to Prosper Collective group. There are more trainings there that I offer. There's awesome people, and mainly people that are visionaries, that are driven to create that sense of fulfillment and that sense of prosperity, and to contribute their services in the world in the way that can benefit all of humanity and the planet. So head over to that group. Hi, Angel. Yes, watch the replay, love. Awesome. I've been thinking about you, actually. Good to see you. So yeah, head over to the group. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this here. Also, my book is available there on Amazon as well. I don't have the link right now, and I don't feel like looking for it, but Master Your Life with Love by yours truly, Noa Lakshmi. You can find that on Amazon and on Kindle. And if you want to explore some deeper avenues in your life and to create that relationship with yourself, that you are so fueled by love, you are so fueled by the knowing that you are a divine manifestation of God, and actually start aligning your inner reality in that way so you can create that external reality of prosperity, if it's money and other aspects, then send me a private message and we can talk. We can chat and see and explore the possibilities and the ways that you may be able to be supported on this path. So send me a private message, and if you're watching the replay, leave a comment and let me know if you have any questions also, and anything you'd like to share. I definitely appreciate those of you that are here now, and sending you lots and lots and lots of love on this beautiful moment. Get the book, The Big Leap, and my book, Master Your Life with Love. All right, my dears, much love, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.